Faith is a journey. Well, welcome back, everybody. Today's topic is going to be fear. It's been a big one for us, and we thought we needed to get this out and talk about it because we both realized we were on a walk one morning and kind of looked at each other and realized, well, what does all this fear mean? You know what it actually means? It means we're not having faith.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of a shocking revelation for us. And I came across this verse, Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. That was a big one, because a lot of times we don't understand what's going on. We fear it, right?
Yeah.
And then that leads to, well, we don't know what's going to happen now. And so we have fear of the future. And we don't know what's going to happen in our business. And so we have fear surrounding that. And then what do? You act out of
fear.
Fear, yeah. Instead of really thinking things through and realizing, whatever's happening now is happening for a reason. It's because God has a reason for it.
I think it's hard to accept that, though, because when you were saying that verse you quoted, what does it say about our understanding again? Read that part again.
Do not lean on your own understanding.
Okay, so I think as humans, we all want to try to understand everything. And I know I do. My mindset is trying to figure out every probability, every possible.
Yeah, what could happen?
Yeah.
Figure out what are they thinking? What are they going to do next? What's going to happen next?
You can think about that in like everything in life. There could be what's going to happen. I'm driving the car. Is that person going to switch lanes? Are they going to cause an accident? Or is something going to go wrong at work today? Or is there going to be a client in our business that's going to dump us and go to somebody else? Or is there going to be some other problem? That fear is like you're almost like living every moment on what shoe's going to drop next.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if you wake up. I don't know if you listeners out there ever wake up in the morning and you feel like sort of like the cortisol just going through your veins, like, oh no,
or in the middle of the night.
That's true. You're wondering what's going to happen. And I even read some articles recently, like this stress, anxiety, and fear is one of the most prevalent things that people feel when I see surveys. The surveys are being taken.
Wow.
That, yeah, financial difficulties people have. People are having relationship difficulties. They may be having difficulty. They're raising a family. There's so many different things coming at people from different angles. And, heck, in our own situation, we got family members with dementia. We got, business struggling, industry changing.
Yeah.
So I think
a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah. And going back to what you said in that verse about beyond our understanding.
Yeah. And you know what? There's another verse that reminds me of that. And I don't know where it's from, but it's, we walk by faith, not by sight. So we're not walking our path in life or we shouldn't be walking our path in life by what we see around us and our own understanding of what's happening and what we're seeing. We have to walk by faith. It's like walking into a pitch dark room, knowing that there's a door on the other side of that room, but you can't see it and you don't know how to get there. And you have to walk into that room and just trust that God's going to walk through that with you and get you to the other side where that door is.
It's hard though, because if you have a mindset that you want to try to control everything, and I have the mindset that sometimes I personally do, and I used to a lot, is that if I can control every situation by doing this, and when I say control something, maybe it's like, I want to go out there and if I work harder, and I'm nervous about something, but if I work harder and do more and spend more and more time, I can overcome the potential problem by just outworking the problem.
Yeah. You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Jonah. Remember the sailors in the boat? They thought all they had to do was row harder.
That's a good point. That's really a really good point.
But that didn't work.
And that's my way to try to attack fear, is try to outwork it or try to do this. And what I found myself, and I'm still struggling with this to this day, is you have to just trust in God. You just have to trust that his plan is correct and it's going to lead you the right way without trying to question things all the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, fear, it can, our business, for example, I would used to sit here and check the orders coming in over and over all day relentlessly. But really, what does that do? I mean, isn't there some quote in the Bible that says, like, what did worry add 1 year to your life?
Yeah, the Sermon on the Mount. Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, do not be afraid. Do not worry. It doesn't add anything to your life.
You're talking to a person right now here you're listening to that bit their fingernails for like 50 years.
Oh my gosh, terrible. Yeah, really bad.
Because of anxiety. Just it's embarrassing to even say that. But I prayed about it, and about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I just said, some of this madness needs to stop. I need to stop living in these patterns like that, thinking I'm, that's going to do something. It's just a subconscious thing that it was doing, but it just made the effort to stop. And lo and behold, nails are growing out.
Let me ask you this. Did you pray about it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Because I just was tired of just little things like this in our lives. Just tired of being a slave to whether it's my emotions or slave to the fear that I had.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I wasn't scared of, I was scared of things. Just biting my nails was sort of the outlet to feed that, to relieve that quote anxiety I was having.
Yeah. And you know what? The fear is such a, I don't know about other people, but it's such a go-to reaction when anything happens in my life.
You can feel it go through your body.
It's just my default. It's like my default reaction is to be afraid. And I realized too, this goes back to, it's one of my favorite stories out of the Bible. When all the disciples are in the boat and Jesus is sleeping and this big storm brews up and they're so scared. They're terrified. They think they are going to die. Mm-hmm. And they wake him up and he kind of gets mad at them.
Yeah. Ye of little faith, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but at first, didn't Peter start to walk? Didn't he start to actually walk on the water?
Well, I think that was a different story. But yes, he did. But let me get to that. But I guess my point is that even with Jesus in your midst, these disciples were still afraid. So I don't get too angry at myself for getting fearful. It happens, and it's a very normal human reaction, obviously. But yeah, you can go to that story too with Peter. Mm-hmm. He sees Jesus walking on water, and so he's like, "Yeah, man, I can do it."
that's like coming out of a Sunday morning sermon.
Yeah,
you're feeling all good because you have belief. Your belief is on high right at that moment,
right?
And you feel great. But
that's good.
And then Monday morning hits, and then you look down at the water and you start to sink, and you go right in. And I mean, like I said, I don't know we don't have all the answers. I'll tell you that right now. That's why we're doing this podcast, trying to figure it out.
But you know what? Let me go back to that thing about Peter. At least he got out of the boat.
Yeah. Took the step.
He did.
But, I guess when you think about this, the whole thing with fear is that, like, for example, I'll just give an example in our business. In our business, we're probably doing about maybe a third of what we used to do when times were great. Industries change, things are different, and we can remember the good times, but now there's that fear of the uncertainty. Where are things going? And I can see it if my mindset can change. If I'm just trying to rely on myself every day, I start to get panicky. But just like God says in the Bible, mm-hmm. He's going to look out for us. He's going to take care of us. And maybe there's a different path for us than where we're going.
Yeah.
Maybe God shuts doors to open up new ones, or, there's things that you have to think of it that way. And it's sort of like having a positive mindset, because if you operate in fear all the time, it just makes it makes your health go bad.
But you can't rely on your own mindset. I think that's the point, right?
Yeah.
Because that's fleeting.
Yeah.
And changing all the time. And so you have to rely on God's presence in your life.
It's a really good point. And you got me on that, because a lot of times I go back to that. I think I can attack it myself and solve the problem myself. And I think that maybe the mindset is different. Maybe you have to look at it from, I can do it, but I'm going to do it with God helping me do it,
Yeah.
the power of God through me versus I'm going to go out there and just force a result,
Right.
you know? And I mean, like I said, every one of you listening out there, you probably have your own challenges that you're going through, completely, obviously different than what we're going through. Could be relationship based, it could be anything, but I'm sure you feel that it's you know how the feeling is. You just feel like you feel weak all over. Your heart starts to beat fast, and you feel nervous.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to share a story.
Okay.
This is one of the just something pretty amazing that happened a few years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. I can't remember exactly when, but and it's something I go back to in my mind quite often. And I'm first of all, one of the reasons I go back to it is because I'm so grateful that I was given this experience. But another reason is to remind myself that peace is there, and Jesus says and this is in the book of John chapter 14, something like, peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. And that verse rattles around in my head when I think about this experience that I had. I often wake up, I may have shared this before, but I often wake up in the middle of the night, anytime between like 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And this was at a time when I was waking up and having panic attacks, completely fearful. And one night I lied there and I just was praying, saying, God, I cannot stand this anymore. I cannot stand to feel these feelings anymore. I just can't take it. Please, please relieve me of these feelings. If you can't do anything else, you can't change this situation. I get it, but please just give me a break from what I'm feeling. And I can't say it was all of a sudden because I'm pretty sure I lied there and I prayed quite fervently, we'll say,
Mm-hmm.
for probably an hour. And then I suddenly realized that I felt lighter. I felt like this huge weight come off of me. And those feelings that I'd been feeling of just the oppression and the fear and the uncertainty were gone. And
Wow.
I will even tell you this. This is bizarre, I guess, but not bizarre, that even the darkness in my room was less dark, if that even makes sense.
I mean,
It was less dense and dark. And I remember I get a little bit, I feel a little bit bad, but my reaction was I searched inside myself for, wait, where did all those feelings go? I think I'd gotten so used to feeling that way that it was a little weird not feeling
isn't
that
God?
way.
He says He'll lift his the burdens from us.
Yes, that's right.
You know, and then there's another quote, and that's a really good story. There's another quote here too, is that it says, "Peace I leave with you. Let not your hearts be troubled,
Yeah.
neither let them be afraid." That's John 14-27.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, there's so many places in the Bible where God says, you know, I'm bringing peace to you. Don't fear. Isn't there somebody that says there's fears mentioned a lot of time in the Bible
Yeah,
too?
do not fear is I don't there's a number. Somebody's counted up the exact number,
Yeah,
but it's hundreds.
yeah. A lot of times, the fear. So even people during those ancient times or back then, people were having fear. These same
Mm-hmm.
emotions we're having today that we're still dealing with,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
and I think a lot of times is this: we can all go through the ups and downs too. Like we can feel like we're praying hard, we're feeling good, we're trusting in God, but then some little thing can make you fumble that, and then you
Mm-hmm.
feel nervous again,
I
and
know.
then you're all, yeah. I mean, like, because like, why did I wake up on a Monday morning stressed out, and nervous when there's really no reason?
Right.
Because again, it must be a lack of faith at that time. We're not putting our whole faith in there, and so it's just a constant struggle. It's nothing. There's no. It's not like okay, great. I'm a believer in Jesus, and now I don't even have to. I mean, you're going to have these things where you're going to stumble, and I think that's just normal. But we have to keep focusing back on not having that fear. And I mean, like I said, I think fear is a huge problem for a lot of people.
Yeah. Everybody goes through it.
Yep.
It's pretty normal, and we just need to keep reminding ourselves and reminding each other to rely on God and not our own understanding. And as hard as that is, I mean, sometimes I can say, okay, God, I cannot do anything about this. So here you go.
Yep.
And I can move on with my day. And then there are times when I'm riddled with anxiety over something for hours.
I think it's just the human condition that we're in. In
Maybe.
this condition we're in, we're going to have that. And that's why we have to put our faith in Christ every day. And it's just every day we renew that every day. It's just not like it's a one-time thing. You have to keep working at it and realizing, because otherwise the world around us will try to encroach on us.
Yeah.
It will bring that fear where you live, and you almost become a prisoner to wherever you're at any time. You can be a prisoner to anything. Every little thing you could find a problem in. All right. Well, as we wrap up here, I mean, we're not the ones giving advice here because we're struggling with it ourselves. But I have to say this: just realize that every day we're all going to have these struggles. We're all going to have our own individual challenges, our fears, and the key is to return back to Christ. Always find that focus. And you can find that some of these things that you are worried about, like you just said a few minutes ago, they can be lifted. You
Yeah.
just feel lighter
Right.
because you pray about it and you realize that it's not that important. Because ultimately, this is even a different quote. In Matthew 10:28, it says, do not fear those who can kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. So basically what Matthew's saying is, hey, don't worry about this worldly place we live in,
Right.
because ultimately it's heaven, and it's being with God for eternity is what matters more than anything. So
Yeah.
I think we probably, when we end up in heaven, we'll probably look back and say there's so many things, or even remember these things that we feared that were completely worthless, that we wasted our time when we could have just put our faith in Christ.
Right. Yeah. And focus on Christ and don't focus on the storm. I think for me, that's been a big key to 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 shifting that outlook of, oh my gosh, I'm so anxious and so afraid of what's going to happen, because I've been focusing so much on the problem. But if we just turn our face to Christ and be grateful for him in our lives, and grateful for the path that he has us on, no matter what it is, and grateful for the fact that he sees everything and knows everything. He sees the past so clearly, and we have to trust in that.
Yeah,
As hard as it is sometimes, I think that's the first step, is just turning away from the problem and turning towards Christ.
that's perfect. That's really good. So hope you enjoyed listening to this. And like we've said before, we're not expert pastors. We're just believers like you out there, reading, trying to understand, and continue to grow in our path.
Absolutely.